The rift between Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and members of his war cabinet grows wider by the day. Netanyahu's Defence Minister Yoav Galant and his political rival Benny Gantz, the other two members of the three-man war cabinet, were missing from his press conference on Saturday night. Both reportedly declined an invitation to appear side by side with Netanyahu. Among the key points of disagreement is the intensity of Israel's brutal war in southern Gaza and the potential role of the Palestinian Authority in governing the coastal enclave once the war ends.
I think the answer is simple. Netanyahu understands that Galant, as well as Gantz, want to replace him as Prime Minister when the war is over.
Bickering with other politicians is nothing new for Netanyahu.
It's because you have a big ego. Big ego.
In Tel Aviv, thousands of Israelis attend demonstrations every week, demanding the government do more to secure the safe release of the remaining Israeli captives, and many are now calling for an election. And several former prime ministers have called on Netanyahu to step down. Netanyahu has seen his popularity plummet, with a recent poll finding that 70% of Israelis want him to resign. But support for the war remains high, and the veteran politician is counting on that to stay in power.
I doubt if the government needs extra pressure to try to extract the kidnapped Israelis. And it's quite clear that the main goal of the war, to defeat, to vanquish Hamas, takes precedence over the issue of the kidnapping.
As battles rage in Gaza, there is no clear picture on what Israel actually wants once the dust settles. And with the death toll rising, Netanyahu finds himself surrounded by people who want to replace him.
It's clear that Netanyahu, he is interested in confronting the Americans because this gives him support in his base. He has to establish himself as a leader of the right in Israel because he's doing very bad in the polls.
With his critics accusing him of putting his own career ahead of the country, the veteran politician is likely desperate to preserve his legacy.
Netanyahu has a very personal agenda, and he knows that his days are very few in Israeli politics.
The battles in Gaza have exposed a deep rift between Netanyahu and members of his war cabinet and highlighted the growing division with the U.S. administration. Netanyahu's detractors insist that he is placing his self-interests and his political career ahead of the country. And for that, they say he must step down. Mohammad Al-Kassim, TRT World, West Jerusalem.